So today's video is going to be a tag video. I've been wanting to do this video for quite a long time and I'm finally getting around to filming it. So today's video is going to be the Makeup Declutter Tag. Now this tag was created by Ava Marie Beauty and I will leave her channel linked below. I did see a couple of other of my YouTubers that I watch all the time, like Angelica Niequist and Annette's Makeup Corners video on this. Then that's why I decided to do it, because I saw Angelica's video and I'm like, this would be a really fun tag video to do. So there are 10 questions. We're just going to jump right into it because I'm actually pretty tired today. So the first question is makeup item that's impractical. And I have 2 items to talk about. And this question I kind of went for more so packaging wise, but maybe like I tried to narrow it down to only one item, but I think the most impractical item actually would be a foundation brush for me, because I don't use foundation brushes. I literally just thought of this right now. I'm like, wait, this literally just sits in my room and never gets used. This is one of the It Cosmetics foundation brushes, and this was the first foundation brush I believe I ever got, besides the Eco Tools one, this foundation stippling brush, and I literally never use these. There's like some dust on them because I literally never use these. That's kind of gross, but I literally just don't use them. They just sit in my cup and I just don't use them. So I would definitely say this is the most impractical makeup item for me because it is a makeup brush, but I don't know why I still keep these, but I did spend my money on them. So that's the only reason why they're still around. But I would say the most impractical item for myself would be a foundation brush, because anything with liquid products, I always apply with a sponge. I am not a brush person when it comes to applying things to my face. I use a sponge 99% of the time. The only time I use brushes is if I'm setting my face with powder or applying blush and highlight and bronzer. I do not use liquid products with a brush. I just find it way too heavy on my skin. I like how the sponge kind of absorbs some of the product. I'm also not a full coverage girl. So when I try and use a brush, it literally just feels just so heavy and thick on my skin. And since I have dry skin and I don't really have too much problem skin, like I've never really suffered with acne or dark spots or scarring or anything like that. So I don't really need a foundation that's too full coverage and too thick looking applied with a brush. So that's why I prefer using a sponge, and I just think it looks way better. It lays on way easier. You don't have to add an extra step of blending out the foundation with the brush, just applying with the brush first and then blending out with a sponge. I'd rather just go right in with the sponge and be on my merry way. So I would definitely say foundation brushes would be the most impractical item in my collection, but I also wanted to say 2 items just packaging wise that really bug me. The first one is the Lancome Taint Idol Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. I love this concealer. I love these 2 products so much, the 2 products that I'm going to mention. I just hate this applicator stopper because it literally gets caught in the tube every single time, because I actually love this applicator. But why did they make the stopper so thin where you can barely get the applicator out of the tube? It's annoying and really not my favorite thing about this concealer, because when I'm doing my makeup in a rush, like for work, if I want to throw on this concealer, it kind of makes me hesitant to use this sometimes, because I always have to like fight with the packaging to make sure it doesn't splatter on my pants or it doesn't splatter on something and it stains it on my clothing or on my chair when I'm getting ready, because this concealer, just is so hard to pull out of the tube. I mean, I've learns to pull it out on the side, so then it, isn't so it's not as prone to staining something when I try to open it. But other than that, it is annoying that I have to do that every single time I use this. So I find that to be very common with some concealers. Like, why is it, if you're going to make your doe foot a different shape, because y'all know, like, concealer doe foot applicators used to be literally the same for almost every single concealer and every single brand. And now, like, all brands literally come out with like an innovative, like, wand for your concealer that it's like, this is, shaped to make sure it gets in the cracks and crevices of your eyes, and it's shaped this way so you can swoop it and blend it out beautifully. And this concealer is fantastic. It blends out amazing, but like, it's just a little bit annoying when I have to be careful every single time I open it, because if I'm in a rush, it ends up on like a little bit of my jeans, like when I'm getting ready for work, and then I have to worry about making sure that it comes out. And it's like, I don't need to worry about that every single time I do my concealer. Rant over. Okay, and then the third thing I would say that's a little bit impractical is, these are mostly packaging issues. I love the products themselves. It's just the packaging I have an issue with. And the other item would be the ColourPop Matte Bronzer in the shade Alviva Beach. These compacts are a little bit difficult to open. Honestly, the worst one and the most impractical one would be the one from the Valentine's Day collection. This is literally the impossible blush to open, you guys. I feel like they should have given us like a key to the heart just to open it. Like, they could have put like a lock and key here, and it probably would have been easier than trying to pry it open with your bare hands. Because the reason why this is so difficult to open, they should have made this like a little push opening or push button, because literally this little like flap here, like this little excuse me, this little thing to open it is still impossible to open. And what sucks, sorry, I don't know why I'm choking right now, is that I try to get underneath it with my nail. I try to get underneath it with a scissor. Cannot get it open. And they actually commented back to me, because they're actually releasing new shades of this, like a whole new Valentine's Day collection very soon. And they end up bringing back these blushes like almost every Valentine's Day now. I think they've been doing it. This is like the third year they're doing it. I think they came out with them back in 2021. But I didn't pick them up until 2022 when they released new shades. And then they re-released the like older shades when they relaunched it. So I picked up this color, and it's such a beautiful nude tone blush. But it is so freaking hard to open. Like, this is literally the one makeup product in my entire collection that I literally cannot get to open. So I'm going to declutter it just because I can't freaking open it. So maybe someone else will have better luck when I sell it on Poshmark, but I literally just can't get it open. This I can get open, but it's just a little bit annoying because like the like, it's not like it's that cheaply made. Like, it feels a little plasticky, but like opening it is a bit difficult. But I can still get it open because you just have to really get your thumb underneath that flap, like the blush. But since this is like rectangular, like a square shaped, and it's a thicker latch where you open it, it's easier to open. So that is it when it comes to impractical packaging and impractical makeup products. But those would be my answers for that question. Let's move on to number 2, because I feel like we spent way longer on that than we should. Okay, number 2 is a mascara that's definitely expired. And I actually just decluttered my mascaras that were expired. I am pretty bad about decluttering mascaras and eyeliners that are expired, but I'm trying to get better about it this year. And I basically just started off 2023 with getting rid of all my eyeliners and mascaras that are expired. I just got rid of the Pat McGrath Labs one that I think I got back in spring of 2022. I got rid of some other ones that I knew. I just got rid of my lengthening mascara by ColourPop and the Act Natural one because I use those all the time. I'm literally wearing the lengthening mascara today. I just didn't reapply it to film, but I reapplied like all my face makeup and stuff to film. Because I was like doing it and then I was like, I don't know if I want to film. I was just going to sit down, but I was like, I'm literally redoing my makeup. I might as well film something. But I would say, but I just replaced both of those. So I did declutter all the other mascaras that started to smell a little weird, like the Cali Ray Mini Mascara. I have the full size of, so I just replaced it with the full size. And pretty much all the mascaras I have right now are from the last couple of months or last like 4 to 5 months. I'm not going to keep a mascara a year or so more. So the one product I would say, though, that is probably expired, and I actually just bought a new lash primer today, it would be the Voluminous Lash Primer from L'Oreal Paris. I can tell that this is getting really dried out, and it's starting to smell a little bit. Yeah, it smells a little old, so I'm probably just going to declutter this now. This is literally like my most repurchased lash product, and also, this is just old, but also like this is such an overpriced lash primer. Like I literally found the Essence one at my Ulta earlier today because I went to Ulta after. So I had my first class today back on the campus that I'm going to get my bachelor's degree. And the class ended pretty early. It was only like a half hour, so I decided to go get my nails done, and I got like this really pretty color. I really, really like it. It's like a pinky, muted, blushy tone pinky shade, and I really, really like it. I think it's really pretty. But I was gonna repurchase this, but then I spotted the Essence one that was only $4.99. I'm like, sold. I'm like, I'm not spending $12 on a freaking lash primer. I'm like, that's ridiculous. So it's just like, why is the drugstore so expensive? And I think that my Lash Discovery mascara might be getting on the old side. Yeah, it still smells okay. I just think it's getting dried out, but this is also my most repurchased lash product, so it's the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Primer and the Lash Discovery, but I will repurchase these at some point. It's obviously this one. Probably not going to repurchase this one anymore. If I found the Essence one and I like it, maybe I'll end up just using that. So that is number 2. Number 3, a red lipstick you never wear. I actually forgot to grab the lipstick, so give me 2 seconds. I thought I had all the products in front of me. Okay. I would say these two. I used to wear these literally all the time. I even wore my red velvet lipstick from Glamlite more than these two. The only time I used this one last year, I believe, was for like a collab video. But I used to wear red lipstick a lot more than I do now. 80% of the time, 85% of the time, I'm wearing a nude lipstick. Or I'm wearing like a lighter nude than this. Or I'm wearing like a peachy tone nude. Or I'm wearing like a blushy tone pink. I'm not going out of the house with a red lipstick. If I want to wear bold lipstick even, it's going to be like a muted type of brown shade. Or it's going to be like a deeper pink. It's not going to be a red. I rarely wear red lipstick anymore. I used to wear it a lot. And now I barely wear it. And I also don't wear Max Ruby Woo anymore. I used to wear that a lot too. That just looked like an orb go past my screen. I saw that. That was weird. But the one I would say I never wear, and I bought this as a backup because I was like, I'm going to need a bright red eventually, like a bright red liquid lipstick that I'm going to need for any occasion where I want to wear a red lipstick, and I still have barely worn it, and that is the ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Creeper. I love this red lipstick. It's phenomenal. I think that this was my favorite Ultra Matte Lippy And this one was definitely the one that lasted forever on my lips. So I freaking love this because of that reason. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't dry out my lips. It's literally the perfect red lipstick for me, but I never wear it. So definitely had to talk about that one. And then the other one is I used to wear this a lot too. And this is they don't even have this available anymore. They don't even have this formula available anymore. But I refuse to get rid of it because it's such a stunning color. It's starting to smell a little bit, but this is gorgeous. And this is the Ultra Satin Lip by ColourPop in the shade Reveille. Reveille, like Rever, but it's like a French name. I think it's by Kathleen Lights, or maybe it's a Spanish name. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I know it's spelled Rever, and she made this lippy part of one of her collabs back in like 2019, and I still have the lippy. I used to wear this a ton. I definitely don't wear it as much anymore. This is kind of like a beautiful orangey red shade, and it's such a stunning summer color. I might bring this with me when I go to California in the summertime, but I'm thinking about bringing this because I think this would be a really pretty color to bring with me. So maybe we'll keep that in mind, but this is gorgeous as well. But unfortunately, they don't even have that formula anymore, and everybody is sad that they discontinued that formula. So I don't know why they don't bring it back, but it's fine. So those are definitely the two red lippies that I don't wear. Okay, number 4, a high-end item not worth the hype. Now, I would say that these are good lipsticks, but I don't think it's worth the price tag. And I didn't even spend my money on this lipstick. I used it with a gift card that somebody got me. And that is the Tom Ford lipstick in the shade Blush Nude. I actually really do like this lipstick, and I really like the formula. And actually, this is starting to smell a little bit, but I've had this for a good couple of years. I think at least more than 2 years. I think before 2020. And it just started smelling off within the last maybe month or two. I think the last time I wore it, it smelled a little off. But I would say do not spend your money on this. Do not spend your money on Tom Ford products. Like, I know a lot of people are luxury collectors, but if you want to treat yourself to one Tom Ford lipstick because you've been dying to get one, I would say go for it, but I would say pick the one that you really, really are eyeing and go for it. But there are plenty of other luxury brand lipsticks that aren't this expensive. Like Dior has like $35 to $40 lipsticks. Gucci has $35 lipsticks. Pat McGrath has sales on her lipsticks all the time. But I would get one of these like when the VIB sale is going on at Sephora, and you can get like 20% off from it, off of it. And I think sometimes Tom Ford runs Christmas sales, but I would say just don't spend your money on a $50 lipstick. I mean, yes, it did last for me. I've heard though that his lipsticks don't last too long, but maybe I got lucky with mine, or maybe he changed some of the formula, or maybe he changed some of the preservatives in the lipsticks and maybe they last longer. But I didn't spend my own money on it, but I am glad to own it, and I'm so glad I was able to try a Tom Ford lipstick. And the packaging is so luxe and beautiful. I definitely think the packaging of Tom Ford's lipsticks are more worth it than Charlotte Tilbury's. I would also say, as a whole, Charlotte Tilbury is not worth the price. I do think her products are good, but if you're going to splurge on a luxury brand, even though I just said don't spend your money on Tom Ford, but Tom Ford's packaging is way more luxury than Charlotte Tilbury's. Charlotte Tilbury's packaging is literal plastic, even though Charlotte Tilbury used to, I think, work for Tom Ford, and their formulas are similar, and I do love the Charlotte Tilbury formula a lot. I mean, Pillow Talk is the #1 lipstick for a reason, but literally her packaging is plastic. This is the mini one, but I stopped buying from her brand. I only bought from her brand once, and then I was like, the products were good, but they're just not worth the price tag to me. I think they're way overpriced. So that is number 4. Number 5, a drugstore dud. And I just wanted to mention this one before I get into the other ones. I think I already decluttered it, so I don't have it anymore. But the Wet n Wild Excessive Brow Gel is not worth even $5 because it dries out so quickly. I honestly don't have too many drugstore duds. The 2 that I'm going to talk about are like older products or like from ColourPop. Which are 2 other ColourPop products, but the e.l.f. Wow Brow lasts longer, and so does the ColourPop one. I think that the ColourPop one is a little bit more worth getting because this one doesn't dry out half as fast as the Wet n Wild one. This one lasts like maybe like 2 or 3 months. The Wet n Wild one dries out in like a couple weeks, and it has like an outer packaging, so I'm surprised that it dries out so fast, but the ColourPop one does not have outer pack. Like, it's in a box, but the Wet n Wild one is like in a sealed, like, plastic cardboard container. You know, like how like the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer comes. You know, like that plastic packaging from the drugstore. And it just does not last. So I just stopped purchasing it completely, and I'm just going to continue to purchase the ColourPop one because I think that one lasts better. And then one more product from the drugstore. I just didn't think that this was that great of a formula. I actually really do like Milani's products. I love their cheek products. But a lot of people raved about the lipsticks, and this one's in the shade Matte Innocence. But every time I wear this, it's very dry on the lips, and it doesn't really coat the lips pigmented enough. So I would say there's so many good drugstore lippies. There's Wet n Wild's lipsticks are amazing. e.l.f.'s lipsticks are amazing. L'Oreal's lipsticks are great. So are Maybelline's. What's the other one that I was thinking about? BH Cosmetics ones are great. I just don't think that these are that great. I mean, I think I would probably try like one of their newer lipsticks now. I really kind of want to try some more drugstore items this year, but again, like my collection is so stacked that it's like I don't need to try another damn thing. But I just think that these look a little dry and almost a little crusty on the lips. Not that I've gotten rid of it. It looks, I can pull it off. Like, it doesn't look terrible. It's just not a very comfortable formula, and also it looks a little bit patchy, but it looks pretty like once you put it on. But when you put it up close, like it's not exactly like that flattering. So I would just say this lipstick wasn't the best, but I love their cheek products. And also the Maybelline lipstick, I think I tried this one because of Manny MUA, and then there was another Maybelline lipstick that he would constantly rave about, and I didn't really like that formula that much either. I think it was called Beige something, like Beige Babe, something like that, and it wasn't that great of a lipstick formula. So I definitely think there's other drugstore lip formulas that are actually cheaper that are better than the Maybelline ones and these ones. So. And then 2 products from ColourPop that I just thought were complete duds. I also think that the All Amethyst palette and the Secret Admirer palette were complete duds. I don't like this ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hydrating Illuminator. I tried to use it as a liquid highlight, but every time I use it, it just looks like it's sitting on top of my skin every single time I use it. And I've tried to use it with a sponge. I've tried to use it just applying it with my finger. I mean, it is really pigmented, and when you swatch it, it's so pretty. But when you apply it to the face, I just don't love it. And this one's in the shade Soft Ivory. I don't even know if they have these anymore. I don't think that these were around for that long. But they really weren't that good of a product. So I didn't really like that. And then the last one I'm actually wearing on my face today. And I actually dug it out of my products I was going to declutter, and I decided to give it another chance, and I actually really like the blushes in here, but I just don't think that these are ColourPop's best. This is the Sugar Frosted Cheek Palette. A lot of people were raving about these cheek quads, And they are nice because they are cheap. They're like $12 and you get a really good amount of product and you get 3 blush options and a highlight. I don't think that this highlight is really that good. And the blushes are very powdery, but they are pretty on the cheeks. But I do notice that they fade a little bit faster and they're not as smooth to blend out as some of ColourPop's other blush products that I have from them. So it's nice, and I'm keeping it in front of me now because it's like an easy blush palette to wear. So I might wear it a bit more often, but I'm not like in love with it. Sorry if my highlight looks a little bit dark on camera, but in person it looks really pretty. So that is it for drugstore duds. Okay, number 6, an eyeshadow palette you forgot you had. So my display palettes, I usually don't forget that I have them. I just don't always reach for them. But this palette was in the back of my drawer for a little while. And out of all the palettes that I own, I'm actually kind of ashamed that I forgot that I had this palette. But I literally forgot to talk about this palette in my ColourPop rankings video in, I think, 2022, like around like January or February. Maybe it was like the end of 2021. I can't even remember. But I didn't mention it in that video. And I completely forgot that I had it. But I love this palette. And now it's like I'll never forget it again. And that is the ColourPop Lust for Dusk palette. I was like, how am I forgetting that I own this palette? Because it's in the back of my drawer. And I love this palette. You guys know I've raved about this palette. It was my top favorite ColourPop palette that I tried in 2021. So it's like, how can you forget you own this, Caitlin? But I literally forgot to mention this in my in my most favorite ColourPop palettes, like my top 10, top 15 palettes. I forgot to mention this. And I literally had to refilm most of that video because I forgot to mention this palette. And I felt like such a dumbass. I was like, are you serious? And I literally wore it in that video, like when I refilmed it, to make sure that I talked about it. Because I'm like, this is one of my all-time favorite palettes. So I don't normally forget what palettes I own. I just don't know how the heck I forgot this. So that's... How the heck do you forget one of your favorite palettes in your collection, Caitlin? I don't know. Especially one of your favorite ColourPop palettes, because you usually don't forget the other ColourPop palettes. Okay, number 7, a foundation that's not your shade match, and that is definitely the ColourPop Soul Body Face and Body Makeup in the shade Fair 2. So I do understand that this is supposed to be a face and body foundation, but let's get real. Who's using this for foundation on their body? Unless they like kind of bring it down on their chest. Like if you're wearing a tank top or a swimsuit or something like that on vacation, I get that. But for me, I don't use it like that. I actually really love the formula of this foundation. It's beautiful on the skin. I haven't worn it in a hot minute. I would like to. I just really haven't been working all that often, but I have so much product left in here. I'm like never going to run out of it. But the shade is too dark for me, and this is their lightest option because, again, it's a face and body. But honestly, somebody that's as pale as me, I don't know how this would match my body. Like, even when I swatch it out, it's still too dark. But when I put it on my face and then I warm it up with bronzer and blush and highlight, it does look really pretty. But I can tell it kind of doesn't match my neck that well. But it looks really good with the rest of my makeup done. And I really love the formula of it. So that's why I put up with it. But I wish that they would have came out with like a Fair 1 shade. Because, again, I don't know why this was the lightest shade they came out with. Like, again, I know it's for your body. But what if it oxidizes on your body and then it's going to be even darker? So I didn't really understand the shade range of this. I know it didn't have every shade because, again, it was a face and body foundation. But it's like, if MAC comes out with a gajillion shades for their face and body foundation, why didn't this have a lighter shade? So, but I love it. This is such a good product. So I really do love it. Okay, number 8, product that isn't worth the hype. Now, I didn't pick out any high-end products because honestly, I think that Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath are like my two favorite mainstream eyeshadow brands, and they're the only brands that I repurchase from. Eyeshadow wise, I don't repurchase from any other high-end brands anymore because I'd rather try indie brands or like Sigma or Nomad, brands like that. But I did pick out this one product. Literally don't touch this anymore. I don't think it's that good. And this was everywhere for a while. I actually didn't think that their products were really worth the hype at all. I do like one of their blush palettes, but literally everything else I'm decluttering. And I did like one of their eyeshadow palettes. But the product that isn't worth the hype to me is the Beauty Bakery Flour Powder. Now, this was everywhere on the internet for a while as being like beauty gurus' like favorite baking powder, and that was the main reason why you use this powder. That's why it was called the flour powder, because this powder was specifically made to bake with, because it's called Beauty Bakery. They made a baking powder to bake your under eyes or to bake like your contour. But after I would use it for that, I felt like the powder was so dry on me, and also very heavy like full coverage powder. Even when I would use this to like when like I would go out in the city for all day, I just didn't like how it looked on my skin, and it always felt very heavy on my skin. And yes, I do have dry skin, but I just didn't like this. So I never use it anymore, and I'm probably just going to declutter it at some point. It doesn't smell funky. I mean, I have some other powders like the Urban Decay Velvetizer that doesn't smell as great as this one. This one actually doesn't smell at all. Maybe I'll try and use it up at some point, but literally I use the same two powders every day, which is the Rare Beauty one and the Pat McGrath. I just didn't think this was worth the hype. So that one is number 8. I don't have any like super high-end products because for me, if I don't like a high-end product, I'm going to return it when I can. Like if I try a high-end product like 3 times and I end up not liking it, it's going back to Sephora. It's going back to Ulta. I don't need to force myself to love a luxury product just because of the name. Like I'm just not like that. I'm like, they'll be fine getting back my $30. They're still freaking billionaire companies. So, and Sephora's a billionaire brand. So I'm like, I think they can give me back $20 or $30 of my hard-earned money that I worked for to pay for these products. So, okay. Number 9, concealer you couldn't make work. And again, with concealers, I am extremely picky now as I've gotten older, and I will take back a concealer that does not work for me. And what's funny is that I mentioned this concealer back in my 2021 favorites. Yeah, my 2021 favorites, and now I don't like it anymore. And I don't know if it's just because our makeup preferences can change. Like a product that I used to love could be a product that I just don't like anymore. Or if a product that I didn't like in the beginning, I ended up really liking. That can happen. But the reverse happened with this one, and I ended up not liking it. And this is the Kosas Super Creamy Brightening Concealer in the shade 0.5 Fair. I kind of feel about Kosas across the board about their products that I don't think that they're that good. A lot of people complain that their products go off really fast because they're a natural, clean brand. But I have my Tower 28 products and my Ilia products that literally don't smell bad at all, and they last a really long time. Like my Ilia bronzer, this guy is amazing, and it doesn't smell bad. I mean, it smells a little bit now. It smells a little bit more earthy than it did. It used to have this really beautiful fragrance to it, but it doesn't smell bad. Like, I'm still going to use this. I use this bronzer all the time. I love it. But I've heard that, like, the bronzer goes off really fast. So does the foundation and this concealer. And at first, this concealer was fine. I liked it. But as I used it throughout the months that I would use it, I ended up just not liking it. And I think I used up most of it. But also, this literally smells like liquid paint now. Like, I thought it would have more of like an old smell to it if it started going bad. It literally smells like liquid paint. And what's funny is that some of my other concealers that I'm like, some of my other concealers that I have from non-clean brands like Dior or Lancome or ColourPop don't smell like this. So it just ended up being one, but I also didn't like how it looked underneath my eyes. And again, if there is a concealer that I do not like, I will return it. So I'm not going to force myself to love a concealer just because it went viral or just because a lot of people are talking about it. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me. I'm not going to force myself to like a product. So I don't like this. Not anymore, but I got my use out of it and I think it's going bad now, so I'm not mad at it. Okay, last question, number 10. If you had to start one makeup company, not makeup company. I was like so ready to answer this. One makeup category from scratch, what would it be? And I remember I was thinking, I was thinking about this for a while and I had a couple answers about it. It wouldn't be foundation, it wouldn't be concealer, it wouldn't even be eyeshadow palettes or blushes. Or, you know what? It would be lipsticks and single eyeshadows. I knew I was going to say single eyeshadows, but number one would be single shadows. Because I kind of jumped on the single eyeshadows craze because of Makeup Geek. And literally before that, I mean, I was that type of person that would use the same 3 like eyeshadows every single day because I was a MAC girl growing up and I had like 3 single shadows from MAC that I would use every single day. It was like a matte brow bone highlight, a brown for the crease, and like a light shimmer for the lid. And that's what I would use every day. I would just put something in my crease with a shimmer on the lid and a brow bone highlight, and I would be done. And then I would put mascara on and a BB cream. But I think I would start lipsticks from scratch again because honestly, lipsticks are honestly the most annoying products that I have in my collection to store and also to own because I wear the same like 20 lipsticks all the time, every month. And I do try to go through my collection and wear my other lipsticks more. But literally every time I look at my lipsticks, I'm like, I'm just going to go for the one that I use all the time. Or I'm going to go for one that I know that I love. And I really would just like to be a smarter buyer of lipsticks because lipsticks are literally the number one product I declutter the fastest. So I would definitely love to restart my lipstick collection and only buy like maybe ColourPop ones and buy the shades that I know I'm really going to love and wear. And yes, there will be other formulas I would love to collect or try. But I am really in the mood to do another lipstick declutter again. Because there's definitely ones that have went off that aren't good anymore, that are expired. And also, it just overwhelms me having this many lip products that I don't wear. Because let's get real, when COVID started with lockdown, I wasn't really wearing any of them. And I did do a big lipstick purge then. But if I had the chance to restart my collection, it would definitely be for lip products. And then the other category, like I said, would be single shadows because I really do not wear single shadows. The only ones that I wear are the ones that are in my everyday little 12 pan palette, and I barely wear these unless I'm wearing my brow bone highlight or I'm wearing one of the inner corner ones, which these are all ColourPop ones. I keep this in front of me to make myself use it, but honestly, the only reason why I keep this palette in front of me is that if a palette that I'm using doesn't have a brow bone highlight, I'm going to use this one. And that's why I go through these shadows the fastest because I use this a lot. This is Max Blanc type. But before this, it was ColourPop's Hear Me Out. And then before that, it was a Makeup Geek shadow. I think it was Vanilla Bean. And I've used those up. So there is like a pink shade in here, a brown shade in here, just in case if I need it. But literally I don't reach for this. The other mattes in here. I'll use some of these inner corner highlights sometimes because I really like them, but I used to use single shadows so much more than I do, and now I'm lucky if I even use 2 of them in here. So, and I have other brands that I literally don't even touch. I mean, I did use them at the time. I don't regret getting my Makeup Geek shadows because literally those were my most used shadows in my collection at the time. And then I collected some ColourPop singles because, oh, and I have a whole drawer of ColourPop Super Shock shadows and other single shadows that I don't use anymore. I'll show you. And I still haven't been able to get rid of them. This is a declutter problem. But do you want me to show you? Because I will. And I feel like this is important for this tag. Oh, and I have some lippies in here because they didn't fit in the other drawer. But I was like, I'll really turn it into lipstick storage because they don't fit in the other drawer. So, you probably couldn't hear me. I had a couple of lippies in there. But I went through this drawer, I think early 2022. And I only kept the single shadows that I think that I would wear and use. And don't get me wrong, I have used these in the past. But I literally, this drawer just takes up space. And it's basically just like an aesthetic pleaser of a drawer being filled. That's the only reason why I'm keeping these eyeshadows. And it's not like they're really that expensive. Like, most of them are ColourPop Super Shock shadows, but I literally don't touch these anymore. And actually, this is not really an expensive drawer, so they're just Super Shock shadows. This Thunderstruck Kat Von D shadow, do you remember the craze of this eyeshadow? I used to use it all the time as highlighter and as my inner corner highlight. Don't even touch it anymore. And then this Midnight Cowboy one from Urban Decay. I used to use this a lot as an inner corner highlight. Don't touch it anymore. But it was a free birthday gift from Ulta. And then these Makeup Forever eyeshadow pigments or glitter pigments. I used to actually use this one quite a bit. Look how much I've actually used of that one. This one I barely used. But I used this one quite a bit. And then this one was super sparkly. I think this one was the one I used the most. Yeah. I think I used this one a little bit too. Gorgeous. And these were actually free for me. Because Chip sent these to me after we did our makeup swap once. And she got the same package twice. And she just sent them to me. Because I was like, obviously you don't need it twice. So I used these. But they didn't cost me anything to keep them. So it's not really hurting anybody. Because I didn't waste my money on them. I only paid for them once. But yeah, I would definitely say single shadows would be the other category that I would restart. It wouldn't be foundations, it wouldn't be bronzers, it wouldn't be eyeshadow palettes, because I feel like with eyeshadow palettes I get a little bit more picky. But I want to just put in one bonus question for you guys. For my own answer, and also I want you guys to answer this. If you decide to do this tag, I just want to throw it in. What eyeshadow palette can you not declutter from your collection? Because of the packaging, because of sentimental value, anything. I mean, I have a full makeup graveyard of eyeshadow palettes that I'm not decluttering because they have too much sentimental value to me. Like sentimental value, like my Naked 3 or my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. These are never getting decluttered because they are too many memories with these palettes. Like, remember that? Remember the chocolate palettes? I can't even put this back where it was. And then I have my Naked 3 palette, which was my very... Oh, wait, no. That's the chocolate bonbons. But if I could speak, the Naked 3 palette was my first high-end palette. But the one that I just can't get rid of... I don't even know why I bought this palette. It was kind of dumb, but I just thought the packaging was so adorable. But I literally just, for some reason, can't get rid of this. I only use it for display purposes now. I might have only used this palette like 3 times in my life. And that is the ColourPop Bambi palette. I just think it's so adorable. But I have ranked this so low in a lot of my rankings because I don't think it was worth the price because it was so overpriced, and I've talked about this a million times. It's a cute little palette, but I'm not even going to use this to travel because I have 9 pans from ColourPop that I could use over this one because y'all know I need options and this is not enough for me. But it's actually a really cute little palette, and I just think it's so cute because it's Bambi, and y'all know I'm such a sucker for Disney products. I'm a Disney freak. I love them, but for some reason I just can't get rid of this. It just sits on my shelf next to my other Disney palettes that I don't use enough, but this just sits there. So yeah, that's it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a really fun video to do, and I'm actually really glad I finally decided to do it because I really wanted to do this for a long time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819. My brain is fried and I'm so tired because I really did not sleep last night because I was so worried about getting to my class early. But since I had a lot of downtime at home, I figured I would film. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know what your answers would be for some of these questions. What did you guys think of my answers? I would love to know, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.